We have amazing people in our state, like extraordinary people.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the cool things I get to do as governor is I meet them.
Right.
I didn't even know they existed, right? But I find people that started businesses or a nonprofit, or they saved someone's life, or they came up with this awesome idea on whatever it is, right? Like, we're going to do this in our community. We're going to help kids on this. We're going to put a big art mural in our, whatever. It's amazing.
You're listening to Granite Goodness, the show about optimism, progress, and problem solving all across New England, proudly hosted here in the Granite State. My name is Andy DeMeo, and today I am speaking to New Hampshire Governor Kelly Ayotte. We cover a lot in this conversation: how ordinary citizens can shape policy, why accessibility sets New Hampshire's leaders apart, the success of New Hampshire's community colleges, our impressive performance in state rankings, and I even asked the governor to do the Heimlich on me. You'll have to listen to see what she says. Thank you very much to the governor and her team for making the time to chat with me. This was a great honor for Granite Goodness, and thanks to all the listeners who have joined us so far. And a big thank you to Corinne Benfield at Stay Work Play New Hampshire, friend of the pod, alum of the show, for connecting me to the governor's team. Enjoy the episode. Governor Kelly Ayotte, welcome to Granite Goodness.
Well, I'm so glad to be with you. This sounds like a lot of fun.
We have met a couple times in passing and in various ways. A long time ago, you came to my high school. I'm from Londonderry, New Hampshire.
Well, you know, even though I'm from Nashua, it's always great to see a Lancer. And
oh my God,
it is good to see you again from Stay Work Play.
I can't believe you remember the Londonderry Lancers. That's very flattering. That's going to make my AP Gov teacher, Mr. Miller, very, very happy. So some of the people that you interact with are alums of the Granite Goodness podcast. In the fall, you had dinner with my friend Steve Turner. He does Bring Back the Trades, trying to promote trade careers. So it's been cool in my own little way to see that some of the issues I try and pay attention to on this show, we talk about optimism, we talk about problem solving, that a lot of them get attention from state officials as well. So my first question for you, what are some stories of progress and problem solving in and around New Hampshire that you know about that you feel like don't get the attention that they deserve? You have such a unique vantage point.
No, I appreciate that. And let me just say, you know, Steve Turner, Bring Back the Trades, that's a great example. They brought Mike Rowe in.
Yeah.
They're constantly looking at ways to expand our opportunities in the career technical education and really great jobs that we need. So I love them. And you know, Tracy Pelton from Procon, that
yes.
Like, want to talk about the Energizer Bunny? That woman brings the energy. I love it. There's so many positive examples in New Hampshire. And if you think about people just taking on even a tragic situation, yesterday I signed what's called the Move Over Law, and the legislature named it after Jesse Sherrill, who was a trooper who was killed on the side of the road doing a detail. And now that law is going to enhance our Move Over Law to say it applies to everyone. So if you're fixing your tire on the side of the road, people have a responsibility to move over. So that's just an example where tragedy is turned into, let's have some positive action for something that we can do for people in New Hampshire.
Or like Jessica's Law, right, is another.
Exactly, like Jessica's Law. And I just think that there's multiple examples where people come to me every day with like a great idea and they say, hey, why don't we just do this? We see this issue. How do we solve it? And with a citizen legislature like we have, it doesn't, unlike other states, you know, you don't need a lot of money or, you know, somehow influence to bring a piece of legislation forward and to get something done. So every day I'm inspired by the people I meet and the things that they bring to me, and they say, hey, what about this? Couldn't we do this, and wouldn't this be positive? So there's lots of examples. Yeah,
it's funny you mentioned that. So I had Mike Skelton of the BIA, the Business and Industry Association. He came on the pod a couple of months ago, and I was very interested to talk to him. He's heading up the Housing Supply Coalition. You know, all these great people, and they got a lot done in the legislature this year. It was a good session for them. And he mentioned that. He said, listen, people critique the legislature, right? There's criticisms you can make of the structure of it, but he said, I've worked in a lot of different state governments. I have a lot of knowledge of different state governments, and I would take this one for what it's worth because it's very unique. One of these things that I'm always trying to highlight, and I'm sure you talk about this all the time, of like the accessibility of our elected leaders here is unlike anywhere else.
It's so true. Yeah. Let me give you an example. I did a 603 day on Friday. You know, Governor Sununu had this big tradition of doing these 603 days. So I'm like, I got to get out there and do one. And it was an amazing day. Went to the top of Mount Washington on the Cog to see the sunrise. But afterwards, we got a bagel at White Mountain Bagel in the Lincoln area. And so I'm hanging out at this table, you know, a group of us were just having a bagel, and then people would come up and they'd see me and they'd chat with me about different issues, or maybe they'd take a picture, hey, how you doing?
Right.
And this couple then comes up to me and they're like, hey, we're from Illinois and we've been watching you and we figured out you're the governor.
Right.
And he's like, this would never happen in Illinois.
Yeah.
Like the idea that the governor's hanging out, having bagels, and people just coming out, whatever, talking to her, it just doesn't it wouldn't happen in our state. Like there'd be some big entourage and there wouldn't, you wouldn't have that kind of accessibility.
Yeah.
But I'm just one person. Every elected official in our state is like that you can approach them. And when you talked about legislation, they bring forward all kinds of legislation for people that come up with a problem or they have an issue, and their representative can bring it forward for them. And it's on issues like, for example, this last legislative session, one of the things that I wanted to get done that the legislature got done were like cell phones. Like I want to get the cell phones out of the schools during the day so that kids can focus.
Right.
And we can have more communication, eye to eye, hopefully less cyberbullying and all the good things that come from it.
Yeah.
But like our citizen legislature got that done. Like they took the feedback from the public. They talked to their, local schools and teachers and parents, and they passed it.
Yeah.
But that happens all the time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's part of the lens, you might say, that I try and provide with Granite Goodness, right? People, they'll always be like, oh, you do good news, around New England, around New Hampshire. And then they say, oh, that must be hard, right? There's never good news. And I'm like,
hard.
Actually, yeah, see, you understand. That's what they say. And they don't see, what I see and what you see, right? Like there's actually so much of it, I can't keep up.
Well, like just recently, our community colleges got named the top 10 in the country.
Yeah.
And we're the best in New England. Community colleges are on the front lines of this trades issue that bring back the trades, whether it's automotive or whether we're talking about welding or whether we're talking about like Nashua just got air traffic controlling with the federal FAA. Like we can go on and on. That's just one example of positive things that happen in our state.
You might remember the story. I was telling Thomas this on the way here. He was like, what are you going to ask? And I was like, I want to get at the accessibility and the common person-ness of our leaders here, right? And there was a incident, you might say, that happened in the fall, I think, with the previous governor, Chris Sununu. He was attending.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you already know. Was this like a crab cake eating competition or something like that?
Yeah, I want to say it was like a lobster roll or a hot dog eating contest.
Right.
And the person, he was judging it, and the person who was in the contest, one of the people in the contest, started choking.
Yeah.
And Governor Sununu did the Heimlich maneuver on them. I mean...
Saved their life.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just...
Yeah.
People are people, right? And at the end of the day, like we want to help other people, and I think that's really a part of our state, and we have such a gorgeous state and so many good people here. I actually think that, live free or die, we're really proud of the motto, but I always talk about the fact that live free or die is about the people. Mm-hmm. The people make things happen here. Other states look at us and they say, well, wait a minute, you have no income tax, you have no sales. How do you do any of this? I'm like, well, because people come together when there's a problem. It's easy to get people together here in the community around an issue.
Right.
And I love that. I think it's a positive. We have amazing people in our state, like extraordinary people.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the cool things I get to do as governor is I meet them.
Right.
I didn't even know they existed, right? But I find people that started businesses or a nonprofit, or they saved someone's life, or they came up with this awesome idea on whatever it is, right? Like, we're going to do this in our community. We're going to help kids on this. We're going to put a big art mural in our, whatever. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, the ridiculousness of the governor being at a crab cake eating competition and then springing up and saving someone's life.
I know.
Right? Like,
I felt like when I got elected, I better know the Heimlich maneuver in case I needed it, right?
That's right. Maybe we can stage. I'm prepared.
No. We don't want any kind of
I'll simulate it choking and you can spring to action.
No, that's good.
Thomas has been prepping this routine.
We want you to make through the podcast.
That's
right?
true. Hey there, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you're liking it, it would mean a lot if you could take a moment to give Granite Goodness a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This is one of the best ways to help more people discover the show. But the very best way to support us is to subscribe at granitegoodness.com, where you'll find an abundance of stories about problem solving, progress, and optimism all across New England. And speaking of cool local people, this episode is shared in partnership with our friends at New Hampshire Rocks. You can learn more about them at nhrocks.com. This episode is sponsored by Greenwave Electric Vehicles in Northampton, New Hampshire. I cannot speak highly enough about Jesse Lohr, the founder and owner of Greenwave, and the way that he and his team run their business. I first met Jesse when he emceed a gathering of New Hampshire businesses that were all doing skits about how they made the world better, and since then, he's become a big supporter of Granite Goodness and a friend. You may or may not know this, but at the end of this month, the $4,000 used electric vehicle federal tax credit is being discontinued. So, if you're thinking of making the switch to an electric car, now is the time. Check out greenwaveev.com. Jesse and his team are super easy to talk to. They will answer any questions you have. I have an electric car myself. I love it. I can keep my dogs air conditioned if I have to run into somewhere for a couple of minutes. They're also really fun to drive. And if you want to get one, Greenwave is the way to go. Thank you very much, Jesse. And now back to the episode. It gets at that thing though, right? That like, it sounds a little ridiculous. It's a little hokey, but the idea that the governor would and could, like that he would be at a thing like that he would react that way, I think that would confuse a lot of people from other states like Illinois and whatnot. And so I love that that's the reputation that our leaders have here. And clearly you take that to heart.
Well, also just look at our state house. You could just walk in the state house. It's not Fortress, New Hampshire, right? Just walk around here. We have the oldest working state house in the country, and it's beautiful. And you can just walk out and check it out.
Yeah. And oh my God, the license plates. We could have a whole other. I'm going to resist the temptation to talk about vanity plates because maybe you can take this up as an issue. I love vanity plates. I think everyone should have one. I don't think that we're number one per capita in the country. We should be, and we could be though.
Okay.
For number
vanity
of people.
Plates. I love it. Citizen in action.
When you engage with other leaders, whether they're fellow governors or representatives from other countries, what is their perception of New Hampshire? You guys meet with representatives from Japan and Canada. Like when they come meet you, what do they?
This afternoon, I was talking to, the premier of Ontario. So just on the phone. So of course.
But what's their reputation like internationally? Like when they say, we're talking to the governor of New Hampshire, like what do they think of us?
I actually think, New Hampshire has a great reputation because we just look at our rankings, right?
Oh, yeah.
People always want to know New Hampshire advantage. No income tax, no sales tax, no investment taxes, no death taxes. Wow. What is this? How do you do this? And what's your advantage? And people understand immediately whether personal or business, that's an advantage. But it's more than that. They love our state motto. They also understand we have a first in the nation primary, right?
Yeah.
We have such a prominent role in the political process because we're such a grassroots state, right? Mm-hmm. Like a state that isn't as grassroots as us couldn't do that. Like you couldn't have candidates go to the local diners and go to the town halls and go up to the VFW. So there's a lot of reasons that we are, I think, really well respected around the world. And then the rankings have just all come in with it, right?
Yeah.
Number one state, 10 years in a row, return on taxpayer investment.
Yes.
We just talked about recently top 10 with the community colleges, lowest poverty rate in the nation, some of the lowest unemployment rate in the nation, number one state for child well-being, number one state for Medicaid mental health.
Yeah.
And we've been ranked overall the number two state in the nation, believe it or not.
Yep.
And by the way, I just don't think Utah has anything over us. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But the good news is we want to stay humble and we want to strive, because number one is where we want to be. But the rankings go on and on about this state.
Yeah.
And we keep receiving. We just got number one state for retirement too. I mean, so I can go on and on. Listen, but rankings at the end of the day aren't what define us.
No.
We're always like, we can be better. We can always improve our quality of life. And the people are awesome, right? We want people to come to New Hampshire and to enjoy our quality of life.
Yeah.
And just enjoy, like, hey, it's cool to be a Granite Stater. It's cool to live in the state.
Yeah. Well, it gets at a thing I wanted to touch on with you, right? Because on paper, it is fantastic. Like, we crush it on all these different rankings. And, I talk to people about this all the time. And sometimes you get this, I think it's kind of a dismissive answer. People be like, oh, well, you're only, like this report just came out about trade complexity, right? New Hampshire ranked number one in the country for trade complexity, which is a very, very strong bearing on our ability to prosper today and in the future.
Right. In other words, diversity of who we do business with. And yeah.
Sometimes people will say, oh, well, you only have that because of this proximity to Boston or Massachusetts. And I'm sure that helps, but I don't think that's the whole story.
We're not the only one that's proximate there, right?
Right.
It's just, I agree. I don't think that's the whole story either. And it's a whole set of things, right, that makes us different. I mean, one of the things when I ran for governor that was important to me to point out is we're unique. Mm-hmm. We are unique in the region. I think we embrace our differences and our quirkiness and our opportunities, and there's a lot of positive things that come from that.
Well, positivity and optimism is certainly the theme of the program here, and I wanted to specifically ask you about it because we have all these extraordinary achievements. We should be very proud. But, political office, elected office, so often people come to you through the lens of grievance, or they only come and talk when something's going wrong in their lives, right? Which is, that's their right. The government is here ostensibly to help make the world a better place. So what does that word even mean to you, optimism, and how do you stay positive when I'm sure all the time it just feels like everyone just wants to, and again, they should complain, but you see what I'm getting at, right? Like,
I do. And listen, I feel like your job as governor is to be chief problem solver. So people should come to you with problems. I get it. Because for all of our rankings, we can always be better.
Yeah.
We can always strive to be better. But it is obviously being in political office. I always laugh. I'm like, it's not always for the faint of heart, because everyone has an opinion, which is great. It's our right. It's who we are.
It's the point
as
of being
Americans.
American.
It's the point of being American, and you have the right to express it, and I love it. But for me, it's really just staying grounded, knowing who I am. You have to be able to take in feedback that is fair and legitimate feedback. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. There's things I should know and learn and be open to that. But you also have to tune out the people that are just being gratuitous, right?
Yeah.
Versus I really want to help fix a system or do something.
There's not a good
and so
faith.
I do that. And the way I stay positive is I have the outlet of my family. Exercise is so important to me. Like this morning I got to walk my dog, Thunder, and he's super cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of stuff, allowing you to have some time to reflect. That's how I try to keep my positive attitude on. And I'm assuming you do this podcast because you realize that negativity never actually accomplishes anything.
Yeah.
Negativity actually is a barrier to accomplishment.
Right.
So the more you look at something, no matter how difficult the problem, as an opportunity, or the things that can flow from it, or the results that can flow from it, the more you're likely to get a good outcome.
Yeah.
But every time I get down on something and I'm negative, it's hard for me to get things done or to get results.
Right.
So I always have to remind myself of that.
Well, it's like, what's the point if you're not willing to be an optimist?
Yeah. And how do you motivate a team if you're coming at it like, oh, this is like, right. You gotta, like, nobody wants to work on a team where you're like, here I am. No, you want to work on the team where you're like, let's go. We can do this.
We're going to get stuff done.
Right.
Man. Well, I could talk to you forever. We're already almost at time, so I want to be respectful. what does live free or die mean to you? My favorite question to ask people.
Live free or die means to me, of course, the full quote is General Stark, live free or die, death is not the worst of evils.
Yes.
And I get to speak to many of them. I go up to speak to the new citizen ceremonies, welcoming our new citizens. And I always talk about this quote. And it means that freedom is worth dying for. And I come from a military family, just the sacrifices to live in this great country. So I always think about what the full quote meant. But I will tell you, as I mentioned earlier, I believe that live free or die is about the heart of our people. We're a very independent people. We're incredibly capable. We come together in New Hampshire to solve problems and get things done. And we're not afraid to be different from our neighbors or other people. And I really love that. I think live free or die sets us apart.
Yeah, I agree. It's an asset.
Yes.
Right on. Well, Governor Kelly Ayotte, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for coming on Granite Goodness.
I love it. Thanks for having me.
We got to do it again sometime.
I can't wait.
Hey there, thanks for spending some time with us, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. You can learn more about today's guest and how to get involved with or support their work in the show notes. If you'd like to suggest a guest for the show or have any good news story tips, shoot me a message at hello@granitegoodness.com. Music for this episode was provided by the band Sneaky Miles, who hail from Newmarket, New Hampshire. Until next time, I'm the creator and host of Granite Goodness, Andy DeMeo. Thanks for listening.